It's episode 299 of The Platformers, a show about games and nerd culture, and I am your host, Brian Barnett.
I am Arbiter of the Skies, Kris Cornelise, aka Delphia.
I'm shocked it's 299. It's Lucas White.
Yeah.
It's getting close.
I've missed a few. Damn.
It is episode 299, and as just an update for our loyal listeners and viewers, next week we are going to have episode 300, which is also going to coincide with our Game of the Year 2023 episode, and we're going to have a very special guest that I have double checked who is going to be with us, and so now I can announce we're going to have one Cam Hawkins on the show for the very first time. So
right on.
I'm really amped. I
haven't spoken to him properly in a couple of years. It'll be good.
Yeah, we're gonna
roast each other once again.
Indeed, yeah. He can call me out for my predilections of girlfriends and Persona all over again, just like he did at the Polish party and throughout PAX West.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah.
When we both wrote for Jewel Shockers back in 2020, we kind of had a love-hate relationship, Cam and I, because it's like so many of our opinions just clashed very differently, even though we were both very into the similar genres and styles and such.
Yeah.
But he's one of those FF13 defending sickos, which just keep popping out of the woodwork in our conversations lately. What is that about?
What is that?
You just need to drag Cam for the next 20 minutes so we can prepare for next week.
But yeah,
it'll be good. It'll be good.
Cam is fantastic, and I really can't wait to have him on the show. We're going to go in deep with all of our favorite games of the year. We are each going to announce our own Game of the Year recipients, both on the critical standpoint. We're each going to give our Critics' Choice Awards, and we're each going to give our heart picks. And it's going to be freaking awesome. I cannot wait.
While also going over a whole bunch of the many too many games that came out in 2023 and why or why not they made the cut, I'm sure.
Yeah. We're gonna talk about honorable mentions. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be a nice, long, really fun episode where we extol the virtues of all of our favorite things that we played last year. But now it's time for us to talk about the stuff we've been getting into this year. And I guess we can start with what we were talking about just before we started the show. I am totally hooked on Granblue Fantasy Versus Rising. I cannot stop playing this game. I love it so much. I think the last time I played a fighting game that was not part of an established series that I had history with or not attached to an IP that I cared about, the last time that happened was the original BlazBlue, like BlazBlue Calamity Trigger on PlayStation 3. That's what you were going to
say, yeah.
That's literally the last time there was a fighting game that came out that I fell in love with to this extent, because I didn't really vibe with a lot of fighting games that I've played or even reviewed over the years. I did grow up and have a history with Street Fighter, so my return for Street Fighter 6 isn't that much of a surprise. I love Persona, so Persona 4 Arena isn't that much of a surprise. And Dragon Ball FighterZ, like, I grew up loving Dragon Ball. So, like, all of these things have had, tie-ins to IP. And I'm sure that's what draws a lot of people to Granblue Fantasy Versus and Rising. But I didn't know Granblue from a hole in the wall. Our friend of the show and previous multi-time guest host, Ronnie Barrier, gave me a copy of Rising for Christmas. And I have been hooked on that shit ever since. And
no love for Battle Fantasia, huh?
Battle Fantasia, no. Or I was gonna say, or Blade Strangers, or just take your pick, But yeah. So this has been really, really awesome. I've played a lot of the cast. Right now, the two I've kind of settled into like I have like two main characters that I play. So I play Zetta and I play Seox. And they're super freaking fun, like two totally different archetypes. And
both very oppressive when they get me in the corner and beat on me. So, yeah.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I can't wait till we play again, because I've gotten I've gotten the like pogo mix from Zetta like kind of down like a little bit, and I know
I need to put more lab time in.
I've got 2 ways to get into it, so I'm like really amped, and I've gotten more comfortable with Zetta's parry and using it in neutral and in defense. So, I was using it a little too ham previously, so now I'm ready. So, and I've also worked on like my Zetta my Seox confirms and combo extensions and shit. So like, I'm ready to go ham. I love this thing. So, but I was curious, Lucas or Kris, like, were either of those characters in the original game? Or was it like a much smaller roster?
Zetta was definitely in the original roster because I played her a little bit. I don't know about Seox or most of the others. Like, the initial opening roster was maybe only like 10 characters at most, give or take.
Seox was DLC.
Something like that.
Oh, he was in the first game?
Yeah, as DLC, like the season, like the second.
Did have a couple of seasons. As is standard, you know. Yeah, it's something like doubled the cast size or whatever over time. But then Rising, I honestly don't know exactly how many characters were added just for Rising and all of that. Yeah, I didn't keep up with it after the initial drop of it because, by that point, like the netcode was bad. The netcode was bad. I was playing it on PS4, so didn't really have much to do with it. But it was fun for a little bit.
Yeah, it's really good. I really, really like it. I'm very curious to hear, Kris, you know, kind of what you think about it. Since we played a lot together. I mean, the connection was great. Some of the best rollback that I've played with. As Kris said before we recorded, there was really only one instance of rollback actually happening. And other than that, like the connection was just like,
anyway. But
that's true. Yeah, fair.
Yeah, I remember exactly one game which you commented, whoa, kind of had that. But then other than that, like I didn't notice. I had no problem. We ran like 50 sets straight and no problem. But to expound on that, obviously you and Will talked about the game somewhat last episode. And following that, I'm just like, hell with it. I'll download the free version and give it a go. And then I only very briefly dabbled, and then we did the sets, and I had an absolute ball. Like, shortly before we actually started playing, I was like, okay, who's on the free roster? People were like, you like Rashid? Cool, try Grimnir. He's wind-based. I'm like, cool, I'll try him. And I'm like, he's all right, cool. And then I got my hands on Zoe. I'm like, ooh, this is it. Okay,
that's the one.
Okay, that's the one. And I was still on the free version at the time, so I had access to all of 4 characters. And of the ones that I dabbled in, which all of them are Gran, basically, it's just like, Zoe clicked instantly. I'm like, cool, I'm just going to run this.
Yeah.
Because my tendency in fighting games is basically find a character that feels good, feels to my style, and then go, cool, lock in, don't stray too far, try and figure out the game systems from that perspective. Just single character kind of thing, because once I at least have the basics down and can do all right with that, then I can, branch out and experiment. But that tends to be how I go, because I have a bad track record of sticking with fighting games for that long. So I try to maximize the enjoyment I get in that moment first. So
yeah, I'm definitely the type of person that will when I start up a fighting game, having like reviewed quite a few and played quite a few fighting games, my general approach is like, look at the characters, see who vibes with me on like a visual standpoint. Like if I'm like just very attracted to a character's like aesthetic, either I just like the way they look, or like they're like a good looking dude or a good looking lady, like then I'll add them to the list, and then I'll go in and like go into training mode, see how they feel. And then I'll kind of have like my mental tier list where I go, okay, this is the list of characters that look cool. Everybody else is out. Okay, of the characters that look cool, who feels good? Okay, everybody else is out. Okay, now, let me see what their game plans are. Let me see, like, can I do the stuff that they like doing? Because, like, I really liked Lancelot, but I was just like, I don't know. He feels like his buttons feel good and his specials feel good, but implementing his game plan felt kind of clunky to me. So I was like, all right, he's out. And the funny thing is that when I got to that like final list of characters, it was like 4 or 5 characters, and I was like, all right, I'm locked in. My main's gonna be one of these 5 characters, and then tier lists started coming out for the game, and literally every single one of my characters except for one was top tier, and I'm like, okay, well, which is like not the first time it's happened. Like when we were playing like Street Fighter 6 before launch, I was like, okay, I like Luke and Juri and JP. They're all top tier. Like they feel good to me, and it's just like, well, I guess I just, and when I play Dragon Ball, it's like,
you have chosen wisely.
Yeah, I like Adult Gohan and Kid Buu and Vegeta and Cell, and it's like they're all top tier.
All top tier.
So if you feel good,
6 cents for it.
If you feel good to me, you're probably top tier.
You're probably top tier.
or as is Gogeta Blue in Dragon Ball and Sin Kisuke in Guilty Gear. If you're not top tier, you will become top tier. They're going to give you
They will buff you.
They're going to give you some buffs, and then you will be top tier, because nobody played Gogeta Blue, and then they buffed him, and then everyone played him. Such to the extent that they actually nerfed him, and it's very unfortunate. He doesn't build hardly any meter. Please buff my boy.
The fun thing about buffs and nerfs and all that is just how much does the shift in player base actually relate to what changed in the buffs and nerfs? Because there's so many instances where something will be buffed or whatever, and then the win rate goes through the roof or whatever, and then they're nerfed like 6 consecutive times to lower than they were before, and they're still top tier, and it's like, y'all were just sleeping on this, weren't you?
That's how it was with Kid Buu and Adult Gohan, where it's like they nerfed Kid Buu for like every single fucking patch, and he only stopped being top tier like 3 patches ago. And he was top tier from the beginning of when the game came out to like, I don't know, he fell off sometime in like season 3 or season 4 when they just added ridiculous DLC characters.
As hell.
But anyways, speaking of DLC characters, I'm excited because there's 2 DLC characters that we know that are coming out for Granblue so far, and they both look really fun to me, which is awesome.
One of them is a crossover, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah. So I'm really interested in checking that out. Again, there's a free version of this game, so if you have not tried this game and you are at all interested in playing a really fun fighting game that also kind of has Fall Guys in it and a side-scrolling beat 'em up,
straight up does, yeah.
Yeah, then what do you have to lose? You don't have anything to lose. Also, one of the
free
cool
version
things,
is reasonably generous about you don't get access to that many characters, but you get access to most of the modes, and really lets you poke around with at least the base systems and such to go, oh yeah. I dig this.
And you can't go to private rooms while you're in the free version, but Kris and I got around that. You can
just go to the public lobbies.
You can literally just go to a lobby and sit down at a cabinet and just play as long as you want. Like, that's what we did.
Yeah, it doesn't force you off after a certain amount of games. It doesn't, have somebody decide, hey, we want a queue here or anything like that. There's enough cabinets to go around. We had no issue. We're just like, yep, sitting down, doing this, and again, 50 sets.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome. So really, there's no downside. And the great thing is that, so the main character, Gran, is always in the rotation. And then there's 3 other characters, and they tend to, it seems like, spread them out through different archetypes. So there's always kind of somebody of like a different type that you can check out. They've had Seox in the rotation. I don't think they've had Zetta, but they've had Nier, who's like
Nier
the
is
best
like
character in the game.
Top tier character in pretty much every tier list and discussion, and she's currently free, I think. So there you go.
The main thing
you want to go in and really stomp, then go for that. Just go in.
Now,
try it out.
She's tricky to play, but the thing that's really absurd about her is her reversal is incredible, because she's a puppet character, and her puppet is the one who does the reversal, so she can stay safe while they do that. And if you get hit by it, you take like 60% of your life damage.
So just ridiculously safe setup.
Yes.
And
it's safe, and the risk reward is skewed absurdly in her favor. And she can also left, right, or high-low you mix-wise in block strings. So, like, she's just an incredibly oppressive character. And it's really ridiculous.
Sounds fun to play against.
When you're uncontested best character, don't get too attached. You're getting nerfed.
Yeah.
Just how it goes.
Now the funny thing is I've seen people on Twitter say, as soon as Nier gets nerfed, we're coming after you, Seox. And I was like, what did I do? What did I do?
Having been on the receiving end, you could probably make a good case for it.
But at the same time, and not to throw you under the bus, but you did say that you didn't feel like you had no chance.
Yeah, there were multiple instances there where it's like, yep, okay, I misjudged how long the string was going to go. I misjudged when there was an opening, things like that. And of course, I'm just not great at these games yet. I don't have as much experience or practice. I'll get there. But again, it didn't feel like I was ever in a point where I have no answer to it. Not at all. So it's like, all right, if this is the best you got, then I'll take.
Yeah. But anyways, it's awesome. It's awesome. I highly recommend that you play it. Super, super fun. Now I'm just trying to master Zetta's beam. Insert obligatory Makai Kingdom Zetta beam reference for all my peeps out there. Did I get you, Lucas? Did I get you with that one?
A little bit, yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. Right. Hell yeah.
Right.
We love to see our NIS fans out there with fucking ridiculous Makai Kingdom Chronicles references. I surround myself with people who know all the best esoteric jokes. It's fantastic. Anyways, so that's Granblue. It's fantastic. It just remains fantastic. Basically, there's that and one other game that I just cannot stop playing. But I wanna pass the torch, as it were, and say, Lucas, what have you been playing?
Okay, so what I have been playing, I can't talk about yet, which is a shame because unlike the last time we had this conversation, I'm actually enjoying this one. But so we're not having a repeat of Avatar. One thing I kind of wanted to talk about. So I don't think we talked about it before, but you, Ryan, just got an Analogue Pocket, right?
It's right here, baby. In fact, Kris will remember, because he was on this episode, I talked about bringing my collection of games to the show to talk about and sift through and see what classics I had that I might not know about, because I had somebody donate a bunch of games to me.
For real?
Yeah, and I wanted to say that, hey, I've got
down the list. Yeah.
I've got that Wizard game that everybody's talking about.
Oh man, that one was crazy. That's like a turn-based.
Yeah,
RPG.
that's the RPG one. Yeah.
So I was holding up
they did a sequel to that.
I was holding up the Game Boy Color Harry Potter game. If you look in the back, so I've got my yellow Analogue Pocket that my wife. Former Platformers co-host Kris Shriver called Audrey the wife of the century because I missed the pre-order on these limited edition colored Analogue Pockets, and the yellow one is the one I had growing up, and it's literally the only one I care about even a little. I saw the regular versions of the Analogue Pocket, and I was like, I feel nothing for you, and so But I've got the.
If you're gonna go retro, go the personal retro.
Yeah, so like I've got Pokemon Yellow in here, which humorously enough, it is on my top 25 games of all time list, but I never actually played that much of it because I didn't own it. But I played so much of both Red and Blue, and I was like, well, Yellow is basically just a better version of Red and Blue, so I'll just have that be the version, the definitive version. But now I'm actually properly playing through it, and it's fucking great. And one of the things that I remember loving so much about it is that, unlike in Red and Blue, you can actually get all of the starters in this one by trading, which I think is fucking sick. I love it.
There's little side quests and such to get all of them throughout the game, so you can just run the Ash Ketchum party if you want. So.
Which I want. You know what I mean? Like, now, I'm not going to run Charizard because, long-time listeners will know that my favorite Pokemon in all the land is Arcanine. So I'm running my boy. I'm a man of taste and distinction.
I'm same side, but different version exclusive, because Vulpix and Ninetales are my faves.
So. Nice. But yeah, so I'm curious, before I go into, because I brought all these games as part of something for me, but I didn't know you were going to bring up the Pocket. Lucas, what did you want to talk about?
So, first of all, I knew that you got it, so it would be something fresh. Second of all, the firmware 2.0 came out, like, right around, I think it was Christmas Eve.
Yeah, right when I got it, it was like, you can update to 2.0, so I did.
Yeah, and there's a lot of cool shit that thing can do now.
I didn't know any different. I don't really know what's new.
So I think talking about that would be cool, and then as well as I'm just curious about your impressions and stuff.
Sure, yeah.
I'll say. So the big thing for me with 2.0 is they added a CRT filter based on the Sony Trinitron monitors for the like open core thing, specifically for like console cores.
Okay.
So previously, if you were playing like your Super Nintendo games or whatever on it was just like the raw pixels. Now you have this filter option that it's just one filter, but it has like different settings, so you can mess with like the apertures, how hard or soft it is. There's different scan lines. You can choose whether it's like a softer edge or not, and then there's like the pixel size as well. Basically, it is a really, really nice CRT filter that really makes these games look incredible on that screen. Yeah, because like the great thing about those Trinitron, I feel like I'm saying that wrong, but whatever. They were CRTs, but they were like really, really high quality.
You can't see the quality of it, but this is the Trinitron filter. This thing is so filthy. Hold on, it never shows up until I put it on camera. But yeah, like this is the Trinitron filter on Mega Man X.
Yeah, so like basically like a lot of CRT filters. Either they fall short because they're really just like scan lines on top of the image, or there's a lot of them that are so wide open it's hard to like nail down.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times you end up with like a lot of filters. They're cool, but they kind of work on replicating like, your average.
Oh my god, this looks so good.
Yeah.
This is so outrageous.
The fuzziness and stuff.
So real talk, for people who were not around at the time, the Sony Trinitron television was like the gold standard of CRTs. Like it was the mark against which all other cathode ray tube televisions were measured. And considering that Mega Man X is one of the finest games ever produced, it's only right.
Yeah.
It's only right.
Of course.
But
yeah, like if you look at something like oh my god, I can't remember the name of the Twitter account now, but it's like gaming on CRT, and it'll show you like the sprite on an emulator, like a character portrait from Chrono Trigger or something, and then it'll show it through a CRT. And like if you were growing up like we were at this time, like it's really hard to picture at first, like the sort of the real difference that makes, especially for something like a Chrono Trigger or whatever that has like those detailed character portraits. Because if you look at it just on an emulator, it's just the pixels, and they're really hard and they look fine. And I think like a lot of indie games have kind of tricked us into thinking that's like the way it's supposed to look. But then when you go back, the blurriness, like the softening of the CRT monitor, like takes those pixels and makes it look like, like a drawn image almost.
Because it was drawn with those scan lines in mind.
Yeah, exactly.
So you don't realize just how much, developers and such at the time accounted for that. And then it's like, well, it's going to look on these screens, so we'll account for it to make it look better. And so limitation bred creativity, and so it does look a lot better. And when you get to
and then with this,
which is why a lot of remasters and such, a lot of remasters and such just miss the point entirely, because it's really high definition and good looking and everything. And so, I mean, it is, sure, looks good, sure, but not quite the same. The artistic integrity was lost in that way.
Exactly. And with the Trinitron and this filter, it's like you get the best of both worlds, because it softens the edges of the pixels in a way that's accurate to a CRT, but it doesn't have like the fuzziness and the blurriness of the TV you probably had. So
which
looks so good.
One of the interesting things about that is like, I actually don't dislike that. Like, there's a lot of like Kris was saying, there's a lot of modern indie games that do include like scanline filters and all that sort of stuff. But like, I'm not opposed to that either. But as Lucas said, that is not actually an accurate depiction of like what it was like playing on like a really good CRT back then. I'm like, even still, like CRT monitors have the lowest latency of anything, like still, because it's like, it's literally light, so it's not, LCD TVs can't match that level of responsiveness. And it is also like the visual fidelity, I don't know if this is actually an appropriate comparison to make, but my guess is it would be similar to like taking a photo on film and taking even the highest resolution, like digital, like photo. Because like film, if you take a photo on film,
that sounds correct, but I'm not a photographer, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah, if you take a photo on film, you can blow it up to literally any size you want, because a photo contains 100% of the information. So you don't get, like, a lot of times if you downloaded a JPEG or something and then you blow it up to a huge thing, you'll have like artifacts and stuff like that, because it will interpolate, the computer will interpolate the information that was supposed to be there, because it doesn't actually know what was there. But when you take an actual photo with film, it's just light on the film. And so you can blow it up to whatever size you want, and it's going to have it's going to look the same. It's going to look at that same quality. There's no diminishing return on like how big you make it. And so my understanding is that's how it was with CRTs. They just didn't make them that big because they were so fucking heavy. But yeah, like
kids these days don't know those fuckers were heavy. If you needed to move that thing,
you better have a couple of friends. Like if you had anything other than like above like a 25 or 30 inch, like you need like one very strong friend. And I hope you haven't been slacking on your lifting.
Very, very heavy. Yeah.
But yeah.
And like to your point, I think it also really depended a lot on like which TV you had, what the kind of the panel on the front is like, and also what you're connecting to it and what width. So like most people probably just had like your RGBs, and that's just a really fuzzy, low quality signal. Yeah. But if you had a Trinitron, you're probably rocking some like S-video stuff, and that just like it doesn't.
Or even coax.
It doesn't get better than that up there. Yeah. It looks so good.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy.
That's like one part. And with that filter also, the 2.0 update also added filters in general to the open cores. For those unfamiliar, when the Analogue Pocket first launched, the whole thing is like you put your Game Boy cartridges in, and then you have this suite of filters that really like shockingly accurately look like different models of like your Game Boy or your Game Gear if you have that. It's like you got the DMG one with like the kind of greenish stuff. You've got the Game Boy Pocket, which is my favorite because that's what I had when I was a kid.
Yeah, I had the original, so like that green filter is like hits me right in the feels.
It's perfect, yeah. And they even have like Game Boy Light, which I don't even think that it came out in North America.
I don't think so.
Yeah. The point is, like, you could use those filters on your cartridges, but it has this whole thing that's like open cores where you can run ROMs and homebrew and stuff.
Yeah.
But that didn't support the filters at all. So
and it still doesn't universally, which is unfortunate, but
yeah, it's basically like the core developers have to catch up. So they have to update their cores in order to. But in theory, now any core can use the filters.
Yeah, I know. There is one manufacturer in particular that has them, and like I think I have most of theirs. But I restricted the cores that I downloaded specifically to the systems that I had growing up, and like I've gotten, you know, because this is, I didn't anticipate that, because I just anticipated this to be a way, because like when my buddy gave me this fucking bag of games.
Jesus.
He didn't give me the bag. This bag I got from Niantic when I was at PAX West. But when he gave me this whole thing of games, he gave me his Game Boy Advance, and it was a clamshell gray one, and it just doesn't really work that well. So my plan when getting the Pocket was I just want to have like a Game Boy Advance. So I wasn't intending to do that, but I have a very, very long heritage with Nintendo, going back to, you know, the original Game Boy was the first thing I ever bought for myself with my own money. The very first thing, I bought it at Walmart. It was like $60 or $80 or something like that. I saved up my allowance, and like, you know, that was literally the first thing I ever bought. After I got an allowance, I was like, I want a Game Boy. I bought it, and that thing was my constant companion until one Christmas, where I got a yellow Game Boy Color and a couple of games, including Star Wars Episode 1 Racer and Missile Command, and, you know, I think there was a Rayman game or something like that that my parents got me. Then it was that, and then it was the Advance, and then it was the DS, and then, you know, I've always been a handheld gaming guy, so being able to, it actually shocked me, because on Christmas, I opened it up, I set it up, I pulled out, like, I've got my EverDrive that I got for Christmas like 2 Christmases ago or something.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. And then I just popped it in, and I was sitting there on the couch playing games, and like, I didn't think, because like when I got the Game Boy Advance clamshell, I was like, I'm going to play this. And then I just never did. And then it was when I got this that I was like, oh, I actually want to play this, to the extent that, like, I've always, when I go out in the modern world, it's very frequent to have to wait, or to get interrupted, or to be stuck in traffic, or to be stuck somewhere and not be able to leave for whatever reason. And so when I go somewhere, I take my backpack, or I take a fanny pack or something like that. I always have my Switch with me, always.
Same. Yeah.
And since Christmas, I've left my Switch at home, and I've been taking my Pocket, and I've just been playing these games. And, you know, I've gone back, and the main thing that I've spent most of my time with actually isn't yellow. It is an old ROM of a game that I had, and I think my sister has right now, which is Final Fantasy Dawn of Souls. So I've been playing. I played the hell out of Final Fantasy 1. Never got around to playing 2. So I've been playing Final Fantasy 2.
Ooh, you're speaking my language, man.
Yeah, so, you weren't here for it last week when it was introduced, and we're like, ooh, interesting.
Yeah. So my daughter Riley is always talking about, oh, I want to see Maria do her magics, and I want Firion to do his attacks, and all this sort of stuff. And so, yeah, I had to explain death to my daughter when the Joseph scene came up, and you know, all this sort of stuff. So like, there's
got him young,
you know, which like
that game's messed up, man. Like, half the cast fucking died.
Yeah, it is, you know. And right now, I'm at the point where I just got the Skyfire, and I have Gordon on my team, who I dig. I think his design is like super cool. But yeah, like, you know, I'm really enjoying the game. I'm playing it a lot. And until I started playing this other game that I want to talk about later, it had kind of been the main game that I was playing. But yeah, it's just been really awesome to play this. I'm also planning on, I don't think 3 was available, because 3 is the only other Final Fantasy game that I haven't played other than 13, but 13 doesn't count because nobody.
Yeah, it got
nobody whose opinions
did not
remade
come out
for
until
the
the
DS. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody whose opinions matter cares about Final Fantasy 13. I'll put it that way. I'll throw down the gauntlet.
Shots fired.
I've said. Now I'm gonna say it
Timo
again.
Just sneezed.
I'm gonna say it again for the people in the back. This does not count Final Fantasy 16, and this does not count Final Fantasy 7 Remake. Excepting those 2 games, the last great Final Fantasy game was Final Fantasy X, and the last good Final Fantasy game was Final Fantasy 12. And that's all there is to say about that.
Interesting.
You, of course, do not count the MMORPGs.
I do not count
MMORPG
14.
Final Fantasy 14, which now includes up to Stormblood.
Because that's an MMO. That's not what I'm fucking talking about.
We know.
That's not what I'm talking about.
I get it. I'll accept it, but I gotta call it out, because up until Endwalker, it was good.
And I played through A Realm Reborn and then stopped, because that was the point where I was just like, you know what?
Because you didn't get to the critically acclaimed Heavensward expansion.
Yeah, I've put up with about as much of that as I can take.
That first storyline is rough.
Yeah.
It's sadly necessary. They could definitely do a lot to, pump it up a little bit, but a lot of it does come back. A lot of that is crucial world building for how things go, which is very slow and dry and standard to begin with, until they hit patch content, at which point they can start to develop it a bit more, and then expansion and meteoric rise.
Yeah. Anyways, maybe one day I will return when I've got a little bit of time. But
maybe one day I'll return when they release an expansion worth a damn.
Oh shit. I mean, I've also thought that about WoW, because
same was true of that. It's like, maybe I'll return when they release an expansion worth a damn.
Yeah.
And Dragonflight happened. It's good. Now I'm playing that.
So Lucas, did you have any specific questions or other things that you wanted to say about this, or would now be a good time for me to ask you guys what is good that I have?
Yeah, I mean, I think just generally speaking, it's a really cool device because of it does more than just plays ROMs. There's so many other devices right now that are really cool, but they're mostly focused on just playing your emulators and running RetroArch or whatever.
Yeah.
And this game is kind of it celebrates Game Boy specifically in so many ways, including it's got the Nano Loop music synthesizer on it, and it's got the GB Studio thing, so you can make your own games and stuff. So the also, filters and stuff.
It's got a Super Game Boy core, which I think is really cool.
Oh, have you used that?
I don't think so.
It is so sick. Oh my god! I'll get back to that in a second.
Okay. Because I played a lot of Pokemon Red through the Super Game Boy.
Yeah, it was my introduction to Pokemon as well, through a Super Game Boy.
Yeah, same. I think I love my Super Game Boy. But yeah, even just having those filters for consoles, it's not even really what the device is for, but it's cool. That's kind of a side effect of everything it was intended to do. And it just kind of enables all this other stuff. It's awesome. That Super Nintendo core, you can run your cartridges off of that. It's so sick. Yeah. So you can load that up, and you can either point it at your ROM folder, or you can tell it to run the cartridge that's in the Analogue Pocket. And it'll play that just fine too.
Yeah. And it'll change the visuals to be on the Super Game Boy.
Yeah, and it'll have the borders and everything. And
that's sick. I'm gonna have to do that with yellow.
Yeah. And sometimes it's cool because especially with the hybrid carts that were Game Boy Color, some of them would have Game Boy Color palettes. But then the Super Nintendo, The Super Game Boy would also have a palette, but it's a different color palette entirely.
Huh. So you can just kind of pick and see what you got.
Yeah, so like I'm playing right now Dragon Warrior 2. Yeah.
Is that the 1 and 2 combo? Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's how I played it as well.
It's really nice. And like if you put it in Game Boy mode, like the color palette's a lot more detailed. But in the Super Game Boy, it just like it doesn't just have a border; it like cycles through borders depending on like what you're doing in the game. It's so cool.
Nice.
And like you have to fiddle with it a little bit because it's a pretty like by default it's a really small window, so you can kind of blow it up just so to where it looks a little better, and it's sort of like fits the border, but kind of cuts out the other stuff. So you can get it to look pretty good, and then you can apply that Trinitron filter to it.
Nice.
So it's like a totally different kind of experience with your Game Boy games. It's really neat.
Nice. That's cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I didn't even realize you could do that until I was messing around.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I've got a little stack of games here if you want to show your stack of games.
Sure, yeah. So we're going to do a special segment of the show that we're going to call Game Boy Hot or Not.
Oh my God.
And so I'm going to hold up a game, and then you guys are going to decide between the two of you whether this game is hot and should be played or not and should be skipped. And if you don't know, then that's fine as well. Because I'm legitimately asking.
So smash or pass, got it.
Okay, you got it? All right, we're going to start with one that I've already revealed. So here we go. Actually, hold on. Let me make a note of the time.
We'll have to make sure to actually vocalize what it is once we figure it out for those who are listening so we're starting, at home after the fact.
Starting off with the one who's been revealed. We're gonna start with Harry Potter for the Game Boy Color.
Surprisingly, yes, absolutely worth playing.
Yeah, I would say so. It's weird to say that, but it's a cool, interesting little game.
Yeah, for the I mean, licensed titles back in that era were prevalent, but it was very rare to see someone do something like that, like a total genre shift and make an RPG of it. But worked out all right, and it's interesting just to experience, if nothing else.
Yeah, nice. There's very few licensed games like that, but they're so cool. Like, I remember I was at MagFest talking to a vendor. He had all his stacks of games, and we were just like, "What do you think we can get for like our kid?" And he was like, "Low-key, Lilo and Stitch on the GBA is a Metal Slug clone."
Oh,
and we were like, "What?"
That's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah. You find stuff like that playing licensed games.
Nice. Also, gem. Speaking of low key, I think Game Boy Advance is one of the best video game platforms that's ever been made.
It has quite the good library. I grew up a lot on that kind of stuff. More so than the original Game Boy, I feel, which was definitely propped up a lot by ports and Pokemon, basically.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot to it until, the Game Boy Color.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then Advance had a lot more going on, I feel. But
there is a couple of important things that I need to say as I say that, which is, one, I do count backwards compatibility, and you can play every Game Boy Color and every original Game Boy game.
In that case, yeah. It's a slam dunk.
And there's also the Nintendo Select series that have a lot of classic NES games and Super Nintendo games on there. So, like, you can play Super Mario World on the Game Boy Advance. You can also play Link to the Past on there. I don't remember if you can play Super Metroid on there. But
don't know about that one.
But you can play several of like the best games that exist on the Super Nintendo on it, which Super Nintendo would have been one of my other things that I held up, in that.
I feel like A Link to the Past actually got a proper GBA port, and that's what the original Four Swords was.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yep, that's correct. Yep. Surprising amount of like ports of the Capcom Disney games on the GBA.
Yeah.
Weird stuff like that.
All right, so we're gonna go.
Capcom really supported the GBA in general. Just look at all the Battle Network stuff, right?
True.
Well, yeah, and they also made Minish Cap. So like, You know?
That's true. They did. And they also did Oracle of Ages and Seasons. So I guess the partnership has been there for a while.
Which is another set of games on Pocket that I need to get to. Because I had those games and I just never played them. So let's go straight to the sequel. Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets.
I don't know.
Yes. Again, similar vibe. It is an RPG, but unlike the first one where it's single character, you actually get party members.
Nice.
So, I didn't end up finishing that one compared to the first one, but it was it carried through a lot of the cool concepts and such. So it's worth experiencing for sure.
Nice.
That's cool.
Yes, smash.
And I will go ahead and put this one up here. Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. So Star Wars Episode 1 Racer is one of the games that there's a AAA battery in here. This actually has a rumble pack even on the Game Boy. Really, really cool. This was one of the first games that I got. It was also a game I did not stop playing until I beat. And I don't actually remember if I beat it. But I played this game.
I remember the N64 version of that got really hard.
Yeah, the N64 and PC versions of this game are really, really fantastic. Like some of the best racing games that I've
Wipeout style racing,
ever played. Yeah, it's fantastic. This is top down, so it is not quite as good, but it is still real good and real fun. So I'm gonna give this one a hot. I'm gonna have
to check that out.
I'm gonna say it's good. And also one fun fact: former host of the Platformers podcast, Joshua Mobley, collects Game Boy games. Has almost literally every Game Boy video game. Collects Star Wars video games. Has almost literally every Star Wars game ever made. Does not have this.
Oh man, you got him there.
I got him. Now I'm gonna put up what I feel like is probably a layup, because I've played a little bit of this game before, but I have not finished it. I stopped really, really early. Golden Sun.
Smash.
I'm not into Golden Sun.
No?
Yeah, I am. It has problems, and I don't think it's as aged as gracefully as it could have. And the original Golden Sun is definitely propped up even further by the sequel, The Lost Age, which is much better. But, soft spot for me as well, because like that was one of the things that I just happened to get into at the right time. And so a lot of, like the early writing and such, I got my start in fanfic and I wrote Golden Sun fanfic, among other things. So that was, so there you go, deep lore. But
so
there's a lot of...
so Kris is biased.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I can still, again, I'm willing to tell you that there's plenty of problems with that, and a lot of the fan community around it, we love the potential of it more than whatever actually came of it in reality,
Gotcha.
So
as we say on this show a lot, it aimed high, but it fell short.
Yeah, but it is still, I think, definitely worth a go. Like the original will probably only run you like a dozen hours or so.
Oh, wow.
Lost Age is larger, longer, more content rich in
bigger,
just
longer,
about every way. That's it. That's the one.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of cool stuff about those games for sure. And my friends loved it at the time. It's a little too long-winded for me. Like the dialogue just goes.
It definitely does take a very long time to go through that, and there's not a lot of character writing in that, so it can be very dry.
Gotcha.
But it does interesting things in the gameplay for sure.
Yeah,
nice,
interesting concepts, a lot of potential in the world that was never fully realized. The gen system, the set summon, etc., is awesome. Well worth checking out for sure.
It seemed to me to be, from what I remember, to be kind of like a variant on like the Guardian Force system from Final Fantasy VIII, but without being tied into like spells for your stats and things.
Kind of. Yeah, because
I remember.
Or I guess you could compare it more directly to like the FF6, like crystal sort of system.
I think it runs closer to the Espers in that, yeah.
Yeah.
But like it simply works. So if you've got the 4 different elemental djinn, and each of them has an ability which you can use, using that ability puts them, like if you equip it to a character, they give passive stats and change the character's class, which depending on the combinations means all sorts of weird spells and classes and cool shit. But then you can summon, or you can use them to attack, which drops your stats and can potentially deny access to certain spells, but that puts them in the summon ready stat, and then you combine multiple of them to do massive screen clearing summons. Yeah. So it had a lot of interesting interplay and such.
Yeah, I remember just what you had equipped with those guys would really affect like what you had available in battle. I remember thinking that was pretty cool.
There's something like 36 classes available in there. It's a lot.
And I'll also just say, and
the battle system slaps hard. One of Sakuraba's better works.
Yeah, anyways, I have not played this game in literally several decades, and I still remember that battle theme. Anyways,
the battle theme against Sachiros and the Doom Dragon, they live rent-free in my head for all time now, so it is how it is.
Yeah.
You also had the chunky GBA 3D stuff going on. I think that was
the rapidly
very much
spinning cameras and such. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Very love or hate at the time, if I remember right, in general.
Now.
Well, I was very much in the love category. So.
Yeah. I think this one might be a lap as well. Mario Kart Super Circuit.
I hate it. I hate that game so much.
Really? Oh, wow. Wow.
It just doesn't feel good to me. I don't know. It's like, I really love Super Mario Kart.
Yeah.
And I love Double Dash.
Double Dash is the best Mario Kart game that's ever
probably
been.
The best, aside from whatever the current one is. Some people will claim that. I'm just like, nah, it's Double Dash.
Nah, it's Double Dash.
I can't stand to play that one or 64 for very long before I'm just like, I'm not having a good time.
Interesting.
Yeah, the GBA one is fine. I wouldn't say, like, if you played the others, you don't need to play it. It doesn't do necessarily anything particularly special or interesting compared to, again, like Double Dash, or even the DS one had some interesting stuff going on in terms of like challenge modes and such. But yeah, so it's fine. It is Mario Kart, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say, it's not hot, but I'm not going to say it's, absolutely smoking.
Now, maybe that one in particular, it feels more like I'm moving the screen back and forth than I'm actually driving a car, if that makes sense. And I think that just doesn't work for me.
Gotcha.
On a scale of 1 to Karlach, it's Shadowheart.
Okay. Gotcha. That's great. We will talk about that as well later.
Excellent.
But fun fact, do you know what the best Mario Kart and the second best Mario Kart games are? I'll tell you. The best Mario Kart game is Double Dash, and the second best Mario Kart game is Mario Kart 7.
Okay. I can respect that. I do love Double Dash. I respect
that for sure.
Yeah. It's great.
Hell yeah.
All right. Next, we got Spider-Man Game Boy Color.
Unfamiliar with that one.
I don't think I ever played that. Spider-Man games are pretty rough on handhelds usually.
All right. Well, then.
At least it's not Arcade's Revenge.
Yeah. I'm guessing you don't know anything about Spider-Man Game Boy Advance.
Those movie tie-ins.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's where the Game Boy Advance 3D stuff really showed up.
If we're going now, both of these games are Activision games, but the interesting thing about it is the font can tell you everything. So based on this font, I am guessing this is a cartoon series tie-in, and I'm guessing that this is a movie tie-in because it's got the
movie tie-in
PS3 font.
Activision was basically always about the movie tie-ins in that era. Like they had so many.
But I also played the Spider-Man game. Like there's just a game called Spider-Man by I think Acclaim or J something L.
Oh my god, LL.
Jesus Christ.
JVL. LJN.
So I played their
the fucking rainbow.
Yeah. That one. LJN. So I played the LJN Spider-Man game on Super Nintendo. Not good. Not very good. But I can still hear of like the Green Goblin when they were busting out of Ravenholm Institute or something like that. Or
is that the one where like the Fantastic Four show up and stuff, but it's like really awkward in terms of like how it actually works? Or am I thinking of something else?
I don't know if you're thinking of something else, but I will tell you that you spend most of that game walking down corridors very slowly as Spider-Man. And you can like you go up and then you can swing and you can shoot stuff and you fight Dr. Octopus is like the first major boss and you fight him like a reactor and you spray his like eyes or something and then you try to get him into like the electrical thing to get shocked or whatever.
Yeah, I remember that pretty clearly.
So maybe that is maybe that is that one. That game was not that good.
I don't think Spider-Man really got to its stride until the PS2 and then
No, man. The brawlers were good.
Okay.
Maximum Carnage, that game is sick. It's got the green jelly music.
No, you're right. I rescind my statement. I do actually remember at least a bit of that.
Did you play Separation Anxiety?
Yeah, a little bit. I didn't have it like back in the day, but I did play that later, and it's very similar.
Okay,
those are both really solid games. I would recommend trying them.
Well, I will try to check those out. So now we got another double feature, but this time it's Lord of the Rings. We got the Two Towers and Return of the King on Game Boy Advance.
Okay.
I've got a copy of that too.
Yes,
right,
awesome.
Hot.
Surprisingly, yeah, they're Diablo clones.
Now, I know
Diablo clones on the GBA.
Because I know that the original Xbox version of like Two Towers and Return of the King are like specifically
those
Two Towers
really
are
slap,
quite good.
Those are like Musou games, aren't they? Almost.
They're almost like they're almost like they're like an evolved form of like Golden Axe, where like somebody like you'll pick a character and somebody else will pick another one, and then you just if you're Legolas, like you're ranged. If you're Aragorn, you're running in, stuff like that. But like those games are really good. I
remember enjoying those. Yeah,
those ones slapped really hard. But these ones again, they're Diablo clones, ARPGs, and pretty functional for what they are. Particularly the Return of the King one. So hot, definitely worth a shot.
Nice.
That's one my wife just had randomly when we got together, so I might actually try it.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely. You might be surprised. It's holds up pretty decently.
Also, I was really surprised at the fact that like the Analogue Pocket can do multiplayer on these games, which I think is awesome. Like they've got like the bottom, they've got the link cable in the bottom, but then also I think you can just do Wi-Fi or something. I'm not sure about that. You might not be able to. Don't take my word as law on that one. And then we've got the sequel was mentioned, but we've got Infogrames Dragon Ball Z: The Legacy of Goku.
Oh hell yeah! That game is rough, but
the original is rough but charming. The second one,
charming is a good word. Yeah,
way up.
So I should get the sequel, is what you're saying.
Yeah, Legacy of Goku 2 slaps super hard, and then they had a third one, Boo's Fury, which was more of the same of that, but baseline was very good. See,
nice.
I would play it. It was really. I remember it being really interesting at the time.
Yeah,
nice.
It's definitely worth. The original is still worth trying out, but you will eventually get to the point where you're like, oh, I'm still on Namek.
Yeah. It's almost kind of like a low budget mana game almost.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
those are games I also need to go back and revisit because I never owned these games. They were things that friends had, and I played for like 5 minutes, and then I had to go home. But I believe I played this on the Super Nintendo. But Disney's Magical Quest, starring Mickey and Minnie.
Thumbs up. Those games
never played
are
that
awesome.
One, but I hear good things.
Nice. Any Capcom Disney game is going to be at least solid.
Nice.
At a baseline, yeah.
Nice. Now I got two more. Actually, no, I got an original Game Boy game.
Ooh.
Men in Black, the series.
I've played.
Oh boy!
Now, when I pulled this out, I was like, "My God, I really hope this isn't as bad as the Tank Controls PC game of Men in Black, which was so hard and I hated, and you know.
So it's a side scroller. It's a side scroller. I believe it's a platformer, and it's pretty run of the mill. But the funny thing about it, yeah, you play as Agent. Is he just Agent Smith? Even though he's Will Smith, I don't know.
No,
he plays
Jay.
Will Smith's character.
Jay.
Yeah. And
because his name is James. His name is James in the films.
Right. He's got the little gun, like cricket or whatever.
Okay.
And it actually like knocks him back like the whole length of the screen whenever you shoot it. It's pretty cute.
Nice.
Yeah.
So hot or just like check it out.
Just check it out. It's okay. I don't think it's probably not actually good, but it's funny to see them like implement that.
That like awoke a hidden memory in me. That's like, oh yeah, that series, the fucking actual animated series existed, and it's like, oh man.
Oh man, you think that is like awakening a core memory? How about the real Ghostbusters? You remember that shit?
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that shit. At least I think I remember.
Yeah.
There's times where it gets called different things over here for reasons. So, yeah.
Gotcha. Basically, the Ghostbusters anime. Basically.
I remember. I do remember.
Yeah.
That was one of the Saturday morning cartoons, as it were, here.
All right. Now we got what I think is a 3DO port or something like that. Army Men, Sarge's Heroes 2. You guys ever play any of these?
I never played them. I remember hearing about them constantly.
I definitely heard about them, but I have not played any.
I know I have played one of them at some point, and it was probably a GBA one, but it wasn't that one. I didn't play anything of like the series greats or whatever, so no comment, unfortunately.
Nice.
I feel like every other Nintendo Power, there was something about one of those games.
There was a new Army Men coming out, and they were talking about it in some description, yeah.
So crazy. All right. We got something that of which the IP I am completely unfamiliar. Also, let's just talk about how I love these circuit board like translucent cards.
Those are always cool.
I love that really so much. Yeah. And now I'm going to twist it around and reveal that it's Yu-Gi-Oh! Dark Duel Stories.
Oh man. I had that game. It's pretty solid.
It's good?
Yeah, it's like a very handheld Yu-Gi-Oh games. They're usually pretty enjoyable in their own right because there's at least some extent of like an exploration thing where you go around and get different cards and power up and beat different things. And
I don't know.
Yeah, I recall.
I don't know literally anything about Yu-Gi-Oh other than the fact that the PS5 looks like the villain, and and the main character has like an upside down pyramid around his neck, and he has funky hair with swords in it. That's all I know about Yu-Gi-Oh. Wild. And that it's about like card games or whatever. And that people say you've activated my trap card. Wait, what?
one of the later
Actually, one of the later series is literally card games on motorcycles, and it became a running joke.
That's nuts.
Yeah, that game's like a just pretty bare bones like card game adaptation. So it's if you like card games, like Pokemon cards, it doesn't really do more than that. But I remember being solid. It's got like a little. You go up a tower and you fight all the guys, and then
I think the GBA one had at least a little more going on. One of the GBA ones, anyway, in that regard. So
nice.
Yeah, but
nice. All right,
Yu-Gi-Oh's a fucking trip.
Yeah, we got some people. That we know that are extremely into it, which is fun. But yeah, I was never into any card games or things like that. But all right, next one.
I played Magic growing up, so.
I wanted to play Magic growing up, but my parents wouldn't let me because they're very conservative and religious. So,
right,
I couldn't even watch Power Rangers because, and I quote,
"Was it too violent?"
We get our power from Jesus.
Wow, that's way better than the excuse I got. My parents are like, "Not too violent for you."
Yeah,
for your poor, 7-year-old.
Yeah, no. Anyway,
did you watch Bible Man?
Actually, I saw some of it, yeah. And I read. God, there was a comic book series called like I don't think it was the Christian Crusader, but it was something like that. Hold on, let me look this up and see if this.
Oh boy!
What a derail!
I know I've seen some real, like some people who dive into the backstories and the things that get created in this space. And for that reason,
oh my God,
there's some wild shit out there.
Oh my God, here it is. Jesus. Oh my God, I have to share this with you guys.
Literally.
I have to share this with you guys.
To the Discord with you.
To the Discord. I have to show you guys this image. Look at that. Look at that.
Holy shit.
Oh my God. I had that one.
Oh, wow.
Man, that is...
Solaire, what happened to you? You were having an off day.
God, he looks like Major Glory from Dexter's Lab.
And he had a jetpack too.
Oh,
why? Shit. Why did he? I mean, he had a jetpack because jetpacks were awesome. But yes, the Christian Crusader. Go ahead and search the Christian Crusader. I also had like a bunch of, well, not a bunch. I had several other ones, and they were fucking huge. They were really big. Anyways,
that's wild.
That is so crazy.
Just that cover art is immaculate.
Yeah, it's really, really ridiculous. Maybe I will have to put that or something. Like, I'll need to put like a picture of that, and then also of like Spiritual Warfare on the Game Boy, like the unlicensed Wisdom Tree games that I used to play on NES and Game Boy. Like, put those side by side on when I post the episode this week.
Jesus Christ.
Anyways,
so intermission real quick.
Okay.
I want to do something. This is funnier than I remember it being, I think.
Okay.
So I've got a little tiny stack of games that were my wife's when we got together. So we're going to run through them real quick.
Okay.
All right.
So we got Diva Stars, Mall Mania.
Nice.
No comment.
Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Right. Okay.
People talked up that show, but wasn't really my demographic, I think.
Lord of the Rings. This one's Return of the King.
Probably the more ambitious one.
Pokemon Sapphire.
Beautiful.
Good choice.
Excellent, excellent game. Ruby is better.
You're never going to guess what the last one is.
Is it Emerald or Ruby?
Tales of Fantasia.
No, I would not have guessed that at
all.
Wow. All right.
A Tales game on the Game Boy Advance.
Just like, yep.
Yeah.
Sicko game.
So it's a port of the original, which came out on SNES, and didn't get translated in English until was it the GB? Yeah, I think it was that, because I remember there were fan ports of both the SNES and the PS1 version, which was upgraded and better because the art actually matched the concept art basically, and it was yeah. But now for the early Tales, that was a pretty good game. I do and remember enjoying that one. So. Wild. Yeah, of all the things that could have been,
going through
not expecting that one. Oh, yeah, okay.
That's it for my intermission.
Beautiful.
Wild. All right, so now we're back to the main event. We've only got 4 games left. So we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this quickly. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Red Rescue Team.
Ooh. Fuck yes.
So many thumbs
absolutely thumbs up.
That game rules.
Nice.
The sequel is better, but that is extremely good. There's also a remake of it on Switch, which is pretty good.
Nice.
It's fine.
Nice. All right.
2 steps forward, 2 steps back. You know how it is.
We got an EA Sports entry, boys. Madden 2004.
Oh, God.
I don't think I've ever played a Madden game in my life because I'm Australian. But,
hey, you guys don't care about American football. You guys care about football. Or rugby.
Yeah.
You know.
Aussie rules football, which is I don't know what you would call it, honestly. We just call it that, or
Aussie rules
NFL
football
versus NRL. But yeah, it's I'd say it's definitely a lot more interesting to watch and follow than typical rugby and such. But yeah, we have that as well, and yeah,
nice.
And then there is soccer. We call it soccer. We are ashamed to the Commonwealth.
Oh man.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I have no idea what Madden on Game Boy is like.
Nice. Well, I'm going to find out, and I will report back.
There you go.
Report back.
But
maybe it's a turn-based RPG like Harry Potter.
Game of the Year 2023.
We got
98 for the GBA.
Oh, my God. I mean, it would have to... I'm not going to have time to play it before the GOTY episode, but it could make 2024's.
Who knows?
In that same spirit, we got Infogrames NFL Backyard Football.
Oh, God.
No idea.
No clue.
It was Humongous Entertainment, I believe. They did a lot of like point-and-click adventure games for kids back in the day.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so it was like... I think one of them was Putt Putt, and there was Freddy Fish, and they were just like, Monkey Island, but for kids. It was pretty cool.
Nice. And then finally, we got THQ and Sega's.
Whoa! Oh no!
Sonic Advance.
Oh, okay.
Sonic Advance is okay.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one.
Were you expecting Brotherhood?
No, I was expecting the Sonic the Hedgehog 1 port on GBA, but it's just like, just straight up busted, just broken to pieces.
Yeah, not good. But the Advance trilogy are all pretty good in their own right for what they are.
Those are solid games. Really cool sprites.
2D Sonic games. Yeah,
nice.
Good sprite art. Yeah, you're right. I do recall that.
Well, the good news is that I got, apart from 5 games that are question marks, I got a whole bag of bangers to play.
Bag of bangers.
Decent stuff. Like, usually if you get like a lot or a set of, secondhand Game Boy games, you expect most of it to be
not good.
Shovel.
Yeah.
Like half of it would be Game Boy Advance video carts of like SpongeBob or whatever, and then
but I actually
maybe
did pretty well.
Kingdom Hearts
made out pretty well for just a free set of games. Not bad.
Yeah, hard to go wrong.
Also, if you're trying to donate some games to the Brian Barnett Retro Collection, hit me up.
If only.
DS I can do, but I didn't own my own GBA. I basically borrowed a friend's pretty much the entirety throughout, or otherwise acquired access to it through means. So
nice.
Yeah, I unfortunately
I would put my tricorn hat on here if I had one.
Needs must and such.
Yeah, I had to sell most of my games fairly recently, unfortunately. So I've really only kept like the real important ones.
That is interesting. That was the way that I was coming up. I basically always had to sell stuff to make room for to get cash to buy the next thing. And so it's only recently that I've kind of resolved that, like, I don't really want to sell anything anymore. And I'm also, unless I can help it, it is unfortunate that I play primarily on PC, because that would make this way easier. But I've kind of resolved to not buy digital games if I can help it anymore. Just because, like, I don't trust any of these companies, man. Like, stuff is happening all the time where it's just like, well, if I care about it, I should probably buy one of these games on like PS5 or Xbox or something like that. Like physical. Yeah, I buy all my Switch games physical.
And even then, there's, so many of them require day one patches these days that when anything goes to shit in that regard, well, you have a non-functional product anyway for a different reason.
Yeah, which is really unfortunate. And I know that there's also been some discussion of PlayStation games having the actual information on the disc so that the disc isn't actually just an unlock code or something. Yeah. So that, like, if you legitimately have a brand new console and you don't have internet access, you can still play the game. Whereas on some games on Xbox, my understanding is that's not the case.
It's like that for, the last of the few PC ports as they were, when you can actually buy the physical PC games, because you can't do that anymore.
Which sucks, because I bought a physical copy of Sekiro, and it got here, and it was literally just a DVD case with a piece of paper inside with a Steam code on it. And I'm like,
same with Arcane's Prey. I have a copy of it. But it's just
That's
empty.
so wasteful.
Fuck you. That is such bullshit. I hate that.
Yeah, that sucks.
But
man.
Yeah. And like one thing that I sold that really bums me out is I had the collector's edition for Baldur's Gate 2, complete with like the huge manual and like all that sort of shit. And I looked online to see what it would cost to actually try to get that, and it's like not like maybe I will do that if I'm like
mine. I think I still have mine somewhere.
If it's like if I'm like flush with cash or something, like maybe someday I will like go out of my way to try to get all of that back again, just so I can like put it up on a shelf or something, because that like I would get man, those are like, come on, dude. Like I would get it for like my top 5 or something. Like I'd have like I would like go after and see if I could get like an actual like box for Super Metroid, or like that sort of thing. I actually do have a physical copy of, so far as I know. Oh no, my sister-in-law never gave me the disc back. But like I have Dragon Ball Fighters. I have something like that. I would need to get FFT on like PS1 again. But like like I would love to just have like, here's my Pantheon right here, like physical.
I do have a wall over that way with a whole bunch of games, basically going back to GameCube and PS2 and DS.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Up to PS4, the most recent one.
Oh,
yeah,
and
that's cool.
And Switch, I suppose. Yeah.
Speaking of which, I got a present from my buddy Joshua Mobley, and I can show it to you now.
Ooh.
Although I am having trouble with it, and I do need to fix it.
Uh-oh.
While you do that, I will clarify for audio listeners that during that brief moment, I was holding up the box copies of Warcraft 3 and Frozen Throne. So, yeah, all that cool shit. And Untainted by... Ooh, that's a fat PS3 right there.
It's a fat PS3 with backwards compatibility for PS2 and PS1.
Got the George Foreman.
And
I have one of those over there too. It's kind of awesome.
This little buddy has been modified as well. So I've got a little bit more capabilities than your average bear, which I'm very, very excited to employ, particularly because I have discovered that there are some stores around that actually do sell retro games for PS1, PS2, PS3. So I'm actually...
We just got one of those locally. Like,
yeah.
10 minutes away from where I live. Like, we just out of the blue, we finally got a retro game store.
Nice. This one doesn't specialize in that, but it is
not many.
It is like so. I got my wife a record player for Christmas, and so we went to Half Price Books, because Half Price Books not only has an awesome book selection, they also have like vinyl selections and CD and cassette tape sections and game sections and stuff like that. So I went there, and they have tons of DS games. They have some advanced games, and they have a bunch of PlayStation and Xbox games and Nintendo games going back to like the GameCube and stuff like that. So, and I think they may have even had like some NES games, but
that's awesome.
I love stores like that. It's just, go for a walk through the library of history and treasure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
software preservation.
And it's awesome. So I'm trying to figure out what's wrong with this little thing. It fires up, but then it like turns off randomly. So I'm trying to figure out what's going wrong with that. It was beat to all hell when it got here. So the people who handled it did not treat it very well. The box was like open and like all jacked up and stuff like that. So and it looks like a lot of the filling and like packing peanuts and stuff had fallen out of the hole. So
definitely check the fan. If memory serves, it had issues with overheating. Might have been something like that, but then I'm not sure.
Yeah, so I'm gonna try to check
There's
that
people
out.
out there who are much smarter about it and how it all works than I am. I've only cursory glances at it.
Yeah, but I believe the disk drive has been replaced. The hard drive has been replaced. So like we should be good.
Hard drive is easy enough to replace. It's a functionality they just had, thankfully.
Yeah,
I remember slotting one in there for more storage space. So
that's cool.
But yeah, I'm amped. I'm amped to be able to fire up some of these classic games. Maybe I'll be able to
experience the worst console generation. Not that it had good games, but the more I think back on the PS3, on the 7th console gen, it was like, man, what the hell were we doing?
Things got bad.
Yeah,
you can blame the recession. That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but it has backwards compatibility with 2 very, very good console generations.
True, for the most part. So I got the Dragon Warrior. So
nice.
The remnants of my collection are mostly Dragon Quest games. I've got like a shrine, so to speak. So it's like every Dragon Quest on Game Boy. But then a couple others I've kept.
I actually think I played one of the Game Boy Dragon Quest games. That may have been that, and like the Final Fantasy Legends games were like some of my
these ones.
Wait,
1, 2, and 3. Final Fantasy Legend.
Yeah, one of those. One of those. I forget which one it was, but that was like one of my first games that I ever played. That was actually, I think Final Fantasy Legend or Final Fantasy Legend 2 was my first Final Fantasy game ever.
Oh yeah,
which is funny because it's technically not, but that's what they called it. They branded it as that.
But it's interesting that you're playing Final Fantasy 2 right now, because that's what, like, the combat director of that game. Yeah. He went on to do those, and that's like his series that he's been in control of ever since.
Huh.
Yeah, the Saga series plays a lot like the leveling system does in FF2, which obviously they abandoned, but they took it off in its own direction and made, mixed quality games. There's some really good ones in there, but
this was.
And I love that thing we were talking about last week. We were talking about Dungeon Siege and how using your abilities and attacking with, like, your characters are all the same when you start out, and then you just equip them with whatever you want, and then you just keep using it, and then you just get better at it. Combat magic, nature magic,
very
it's super.
Yeah,
I love it. Like that is super, super cool. I've always loved that, and I was always so disappointed when I would like play games like Dungeon Siege where they would do that, and then I would go play another game, and it was like, oh, you got a random thing to your stats when you leveled up. And I'm like, why don't I just get better at the stuff I do so I can just like customize my characters by just playing the game? Like, you can just play the game.
Yeah.
It's like,
Saga's really good at that.
I was telling Riley, because like I was explaining to her, like, I use a lot of things as object lessons because that's just like what I do as a parent. And so I was explaining to her, like, I'm having Maria cast more spells because I want her to be better at casting spells. And it's just like when you climb around or when you jump around or when you talk, like everything you do, you get better at, And so it's important to have Maria keep casting spells so that her magic will get stronger and she'll get more magic powers and she'll be able to use it more. And then, I'm also telling her about, like, we have to go back to the inn and rest because we're tired. Our magic is gone and we need to rest up so we'll be ready for the next day. Like, it's awesome when they kind of like, and there is a point of diminishing returns, like with Red Dead 2, where like you're so focused on like recreating aspects of reality that the game stops being fun anymore. But there is also an element where like replicating the like kind of reward system that you get from just exercising a skill or an ability in a game is actually really cool. And like, you're like, oh, I understand this. Like, I work out every day, so I get stronger. Like, that makes sense. Like, I swing a sword, so I'm going to get better at it, and I'm going to learn from it.
Yeah, the logical throughput is there.
Yeah. And I really love that.
It's another reason why Morrowind is one of the best games ever made.
Yeah. Let's see. I don't have very many GBA games, but I've got Metroid Zero Mission.
Oh,
hey.
Wait, hold on. The third best Metroid game of all time?
What's the second one?
You put me on the spot.
Is it Dread? Is it Dread or is it
can't be Dread. Don't say Dread.
No, the best is Super. We know that.
The second best Metroid game of all time. Yeah, I think Dread is third. I think it narrowly edges out Fusion. But Super is number one with a bullet, and no other game is even close. But I think Zero Mission is probably number two.
Oh, okay. I respect that. Got Rhythm TenGoku.
Nice.
For Rhythm Heaven.
Legacy of Rhythm TenGoku 2.
That's right. Those are the ones I kind of like care the most about. I don't know, like, I think I agree with what you guys say about GBA games overall being like better, in terms of just like their depth and what they do. But like, there's something about like just like a gray square. It's got that massive sticker in the middle of it, and usually like the art's really like.
I definitely prefer the cartridge design. 100%.
There's something about these guys that just makes me happy to just like look at them.
Yeah, it's great.
And there's And there's TNG, just for funsies.
Nice.
Of course.
Yep. Data's covered up by the Nintendo seal of quality.
How dare they? How dare they? He's a lieutenant commander. How dare you?
Right? Yeah, well, I'll stop there.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Granblue stuff. Analogue Pocket is a wonderful, wonderful machine.
It's great. It's great. All right, let's talk about something else.
All right. Because I can wax philosophical about, retro game collections and everything all day, but what else have we been doing the last week?
Well, I can give a little update on what I've been doing, and then I can turn the rest of the episode over to you guys. But so last week we talked about how I've gone back and started playing more Baldur's Gate. And so I have modded the game lightly to get more party members because I was a little annoyed that it was restricted to just 4 when Baldur's Gate 2 you could have 6.
Especially when they're still at your camp anyway.
Yeah. And I'm just like, well, there's no reason why you couldn't go with me. And so I did 2 things. Well, I did 3 things. I decided I was not going to go and retread my lost ground where I had to give up my save. I was not going to redo things that I'd already done. So there's that. And then I was like, I'm going to mod it so that I have every character that I care about with me. So there was some who were left out, but I did have 6 people with me at the time. And then I'm going to reduce it to Explorer difficulty. And I did those 3 things. And let me tell you, I'm back, baby. I'm back. I'm back. In fact,
you're finally having a good time.
In fact, I am back so much that my Analogue Pocket has been collecting dust. Final Fantasy 2 has been in the rearview mirror. I am all Baldur's Gate 3 all the time. Unless people are wanting to play Granblue, in which case I'm jumping over, I'm playing a little bit of Granblue, and then it's back to Baldur's Gate 3. And let me tell you, such was my enjoyment that I actually went back down to the standard 4 party members crew, kept it on Explorer difficulty, but then I went through and just tore through the stuff that I had done previously because I kind of wet my whistle. And I will say I had a few moments of pure delight in which I experienced some of the stuff that people are talking about. Now, I did not have anything super crazy. Like I didn't pick up 1 million explosive barrels and stretch them through an encampment.
You didn't become a barrelmancer. Yeah,
no,
you didn't play Divinity Original Sin 2 or anything.
No, I didn't do that. But I did have a moment where I fucked around and then I found out.
All right.
I there's a moment where you can so I think I'm almost to the end of Act 2. I've done the priest's castle or stronghold or whatever. I did that. And now I have done, I think I've done the hospital in the Shadowed Lands. I've done I think a lot of the Dark Shadows part. I need to go to a couple of places where I have quests. I have not gotten to Moonrise Towers. I found the road to Baldur's Gate. I also found a giant grand mausoleum that I need to go check out. So basically, I need to go check out the mausoleum. I need to finish checking out the toll house, and then I need to go to the towers themselves.
All right. I will tell you quickly. You can go to the towers and fuck around there before advancing, which you will probably want to do because once you do the thing in the mausoleum, time will progress and you'll lose the opportunity to do that, which includes saving prisoners and things like that.
Okay.
So go to Moonrise
mausoleum
Towers, do
last?
everything else,
Okay.
do mausoleum last, and then, So
Gotcha.
that includes going to Moonrise Towers. You won't have the epic conclusion there until after the mausoleum.
Okay.
So
Cool.
do that.
That's good because I found the mausoleum way first.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to stumble into it, especially given that there's a guy there speaking poetry at you. I'm like,
yeah.
Hello.
Okay, cool. So yeah, so I at this point, I mentioned this last time. At this point, I have resolved to play another playthrough of this game as the Dark Urge and get all the evil characters on my team. So now I'm just good boy, helping everybody, that sort of a thing. And so I'm trying to...
No shame on playing on the easy mode either, because even on the harder mode, it's like you reach a point, you reach the power spike at level 5, and then you just win. Like, it becomes not difficult, except when they just throw Larian encounters at you, which are complete bullshit anyway. So you'll have that even on normal mode. Good luck.
Yeah, but, man, I don't know what the deal is, but that has not been my experience at all. Like, I got to level 6, level 7. I think I either just hit level 7 or level 8. And, like, now I've been doing it on Explorer difficulty, but I was on standard difficulty. And I found this game to be, like, manageable, but, like, there's still a lot of, like, really hard encounters or encounters where, like,
it can go south very quickly. Like, I'll give it that.
Yeah, like, which is not the case in Baldur's Gate 2. Now you're like a higher level and stuff like that. In Baldur's Gate 1, that happens a lot. Because you're like level 1, and if you're a wizard, which I always am,
you're probably gonna have 4 hit points, yeah.
Yeah, you get hit by 1 arrow and you're dead. Like, it's can be crazy. But in this game, I was
the great filter is that wizard at the friendly army in the first time.
Yeah. But that was interesting. And so that has kind of helped me be like, all right, I'm going to go do all the stuff that I did before just on Explorer mode. I got into a situation where I was like pickpocketing somebody that I'd taken a quest from, and they found out, and I talked my way out of it. So, okay, there's a weird bug, and I don't know what the deal is with this, but where like I'll pickpocket somebody and then they'll catch me and they'll talk to me, and then I'll roll like to get away with it, and I'll do that, and then they'll talk to somebody else. And I'm like, what the hell? Like I didn't, you know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe that's weird, or maybe that's how it's supposed to be.
There are a few issues like that, I seem to recall. I feel like if there may have been more added in the most recent patch as well, because it seemed to be generally pretty good, at least for that interaction. Like, they give you like a sort of generic, you have been caught. They don't actually speak. It's the narrator saying you have been caught, do a check to get out of it, or, But
it was weird because I'd already passed the check to get out of it, and then like they asked somebody else, and they're like, you're not going to be able to talk your way out of this one because you already did once before. And I'm like, but I haven't stolen anything else. And then
too bad, so sad.
Yeah.
Kill this person.
And then I stole something else, and then I had to kill them. And you know what? It was fine because I really only accepted the quest because I was able to talk them into paying me up front. I had no intention of doing this quest for this person. And so the fact
is it the I'm imagining this is the one in front of the dead body out in the wilderness? With the bird, or
no actually I am going to do the quest for that guy.
Okay, fair enough.
I am going to do the quest for that guy.
No, that's the one I imagine.
It's the woman who's trying to get the egg.
Right, yeah.
And I'm like, nah, fam, I'm not doing that for you.
Yeah, I told her to eat shit too.
You are like
sketchy, turbo sketchy.
She's clearly a racist.
Oh, she's the worst.
Like,
the funny thing is,
she's like, these people are persuaded that you can raise these things out of their station, and I'm like, bro, you are on one. You got to go. But what I was just gonna do is I was just gonna steal all of her money and all of her cool shit, and then just leave her out here waiting for me forever and just waste her time. And then she caught me, and I'm just like, well, I guess you got to die. Like, I wasn't gonna kill you, but I'm not gonna fight it now. But
the weirdest thing that happened to me when I was playing, in that first area with the tieflings and the druids.
Yeah.
There's like the 2 druid guards at the top of the stairs.
Yeah. Yep. By the catapult.
They're like to go actually talk to the druids.
Oh, okay.
A bit further in, yeah.
Yeah, and so, they're like, oh, you can't go by something, something. And then I go and I do the thing and I fight through all the goblins and I come back and I'm running up to them to talk to them. And as I'm going to press the A button to speak to them, the game very briefly hitches. There's just like a little frame, and then I run right past them. And it immediately triggers okay, now you have to fight all of the druids.
Oh, no.
Like, what? Oops. Why?
Oh, man, that sucks. Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah, there's a few little things like that.
Also, there was a bug where like I was fighting somebody on and we were on both sides of a major doorway, and it wouldn't actually let me cast spells through the doorway because it's like
the doorway bug got added in like a recent patch or something.
Oh no!
Because I've noticed it's become untenable. The most recent times I tried to play it with my friends, we were all just like having to shift the camera around further to click past the door in order to get anything done. It really
sucked. But I had 2 great moments. Oh, no, 3 great moments. The one that I was talking about originally was there's an extremely powerful individual that you come into contact with as part of one of these Act 2 quests. And I kind of talked some smack to them, and they just executed my entire party. And there's no check, there's no fight, you just die. And I was like, all right, cool. All right.
I see. That's how we're at. Okay.
Not going to do that next time.
Larry,
but that was fun. Like that, I thought that was fun.
Was that in
some of them are
cathedral
cool.
or whatever?
Yes.
Yeah. I did that too.
And I was like, why don't you do that shit yourself? And they're like, I don't think I heard you correctly. And I'm like, I thought you were supposed to be all powerful. And then it was just like, you've died. Like, wow. All right. I guess you are. Whatever. All right.
It's funny because they're so petty about it that they use a charge of wish. It's like, you only get so many of those ever.
Oh, did they? Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, they wished you out of existence.
Wow.
Oh,
interesting. I did not know that. Do you have to check like the footnotes or whatever? Like the.
I don't remember exactly what it was, but something like that.
Interesting.
But yeah, just like you crossed the line. Bye now.
Because wish is crazy.
Oh yeah. That's the theory that the reason it stopped, like the game stops at level 12, is because any higher, and you get 7th level and above spells, and that's where it starts to get really, really breaky.
Really crazy.
Not
and then
not that you can't already do some bullshit with even as low as like level 3 spells, but like yeah.
This is why ladies and gentlemen, and people of all kinds, this is why you always play casters. You
can break shit.
Because you can break reality. Why wouldn't you want that for yourselves? Be cool like me and go magic users. Anyways.
The alternative is when you sword so hard that you break reality. That's fun too.
Yeah. Hey, if you can go Vegeta Blue and Broly from the Super Broly movie and punch so hard that you break through space-time, do that shit too, I got My Hero Academia down here for Christmas, and All Might can punch so hard he affects the weather. Like, that shit is cool. If you can do that shit, that's cool. I don't have any beef with you.
Oh, you can absorb 100% of my power. All right, I'll just go beyond that.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Wait, what? I like being barbarian and just being Donkey Kong. Just pick people up and throw them.
Yeah. I mean, Karlach is the freaking greatest. Yeah. She and I today.
Like I said, scale of 1 to Karlach.
Earlier today, Karlach and I took that relationship to the next level. It was great. Anyways, but another great moment that I had was I was posted up on a sniper post. There was a camp of goblins and wargs outside of the goblin camp, and I had run some of my people up the ladder to the post where one of the archers was, and I had Karlach run in because she's the goat, and then I had Gale cast Grease on the land around her because she's wearing the decaying boots of something where like she can't slip on grease. Yeah. She's totally fine. So I cast grease on her so that anybody who approaches her might have a chance of falling down and stuff like that.
That's cool.
Strategy.
Yeah. Hey, this is why I like this game, because you can do shit like that.
And then you set it on fire and she's resistant.
But yeah, she is resistant to fire because she's a tiefling. But the problem is I didn't see that there was a lit candle underneath the bridge next to Karlach. And so when I cast grease, it just fucking exploded. And the big sniper's nest that's made of wood that was above it just exploded and shattered. And my main, my Tav, who's named Cairo, who's a sorcerer, and Will, who were above that, fell down with the goblin archer and fell and took fall damage. I think the goblin died from it because Will had already like stabbed him or something. And they fell onto the wargs and the guys underneath it. And I was like, all right, game, you got me. And they set everybody. Everybody who wasn't Karlach was set on fire because she's resistant to fire. And then it was like, my work is done here. I can literally just leave. And you know, it was awesome. And then there was another moment where I got into a religious debate with a doctor, and I well actually'd him about his own religious beliefs because I knew the text.
Oh no.
And convinced him to stop torturing people who were around in the area, and convinced him to have his nurses experiment on him, and they fucking killed him, skipping a boss fight entirely.
Oh.
And I was like, oh. Man, let me tell you, this 19
tormented that guy.
This 19 charisma is really coming in handy, let me tell you. It's awesome. So anyways, I am having a blast. I'm having a blast.
Like, again, I have come out here and been very critical of Baldur's Gate 3 in our discussions and everything. And I maintain all that. But there is a hell of a lot of good game there.
Yeah.
It just dries up a lot in Act 3.
That's
my major point.
I'm so interested to see what I think when I get there. Because I'm like not that far from Act 3, right?
You're about halfway through Act 2.
Oh my dear Lord.
The game never ends.
Because here's the thing, like my plan is to finish it before next week. Like, so I'm planning on not playing anything except this. Until
how completionist are you wanting to be?
I'm trying to touch every area, but I'm not like combing through everything with a fine tooth. You know.
Cool, because otherwise you're looking at 50 to 60 hours.
Okay. All right. Because I want to, like, I like enough of this, and I feel like I owe it to the game to at least try to finish it before,
by all means, absolutely.
Before GOTY. So this was the big one, and I did not expect it to grab me, and then I was gonna just like kind of generally feel bad, but now I'm just like, hell yeah, like I'm into it.
When it cooks, it cooks. When, you know, and I still have a lot of fun when I go back, you know, play multiplayer or single player for various areas, but then I just inevitably hit something in Act 3 that makes me go, or there's something just poorly formed out. Or at that point, it's like a lot of the good character moments dry up considerably as well. And yeah. And,
was it easy to get those mods?
Oh yeah.
Like, it's really easy to mod. Yeah.
I've
dabbled in it briefly as well.
Yeah. And the party expansion mod, you only really have to like activate it, and then you have to like activate it, have somebody drop from your party, and then add somebody to your party, and then you can just add, like, you set the character limit, and it's basically like enforcing like multiplayer limits in single player, but expanding the multiplayer limit.
Yeah, because you can have like 8 different players in multiplayer with it as well. It's absurd.
Yeah. So it's basically just bringing that limit into single player. And then just once you do that and have a save where that is the case, then like every time you load up, like it's like you're set. Like you don't have to redo it, which is cool. And I've tried looking around for other mods because, again, like my main complaint with this game is I think the camera is really bad. And yeah. I still
think it's too early for too much like real deep changes like that.
Yeah.
A lot of what I've seen is like cosmetic mods or the multiplayer character.
Tons of hair and character customization and like horns.
Turn your character into any other character and so on.
Yeah. A bunch of stuff like that. There's also like have every item in the game, like have like infinite, like be whatever level you want. Like all that sort of stuff. All the usual like, limit breaking stuff, but yeah, it's good. And there's a lot of mods out there for this game, which like the future of this game is like secure. People are going to be playing this game for
there will be a definitive edition probably.
Yeah. Yeah, really interested to see what happens. But yeah. I dig it.
I wish I loved it as much as everybody else did, but unfortunately...
Me too.
Does it run marginally better now than it did at launch?
I've never had issues. Will has complained a lot about having like a bunch of weird stuff happen. That's only ever happened to me when I play on my gaming laptop. On my desktop, I've never had issues.
Get back to us on Act 3, because that's where Digital Foundry had to go back and do an apology in a second video for Act 3.
No.
Because they did it and said, yeah, this game is great. And then everyone's like, no, get further. And then they're like, ooh, okay, second video.
Nice.
Okay. I really like to play it on like my Ally. It's just like really inconsistent. Just finding the right settings, because it's got so much that you have to like mess with to make it run. Well.
I know people have run and like tried to find optimized settings for like the Steam Deck and stuff like that. So like might be worth looking into that, because I know people have done a bunch of experiments on like trying to figure out what do we get rid of, what is fine to stay high and stuff like that. So
yeah,
but I don't have a Steam Deck anymore, so I don't really know what it would be. But yeah, I've been impressed with like those PC handhelds like showing up in ways that other stuff haven't, because for a while, I don't know if this is still the case, but for a while the Steam Deck version of Elden Ring actually ran better than the PC version. Like straight
That's
up.
Funny.
Which is like
weird.
Really
funny.
It was actually optimized better for Steam Deck, which is like just crazy. But yeah. All right, well that's all I have for this week. I don't know if either of you guys had anything that you wanted to visit.
I'm spent until
embargoes drop.
Yeah, which I think it's like the 18th or something like that.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, I'll find something weird to play for, in the middle next week. Well, no, I need to actually like really think about the Goaty stuff. I've been like afraid of it, kind of.
I thought I had
There's
more
so
time.
much stuff I haven't played.
More time, and then I got to this week. It's like we're recording 299 today. I'm like,
yeah. When he said that, I was like, oh no.
Yep, it's coming.
It's gonna be big.
It's gonna be huge.
And I'm just not gonna be able to get everything done. I have to accept that. And yeah, there's one.
Should be a.
The funny thing is,
I probably would like category. If I played these, I know I would probably.
I think it would be.
Did not play. Would like to.
Yeah, I think it would be. I think it would be interesting to have like an honorable mentions section for like stuff I didn't get to but still want to. I think
that's what I was intending to cover. So yeah. I imagine I'll talk to you over the next week or so as we figure out the exact structure of how we want to do this.
Yeah,
just like how much should I cover? But like. I will use this as a segue to say I picked up the first Alan Wake again, which I have not done in a very long time, and I don't know if I ever finished it, but I know I played it in the past. But yeah, I am, more than anything else on the list, it's like I want to try at least Alan Wake 2. So I'm going through the first one again because it's been a damn long time, and yeah, it's good. It's still very good. It is an Xbox 360 arse video game, that is for sure. But I love the presentation, the writing, the kind of mystery and mystique of it all, the vibe and everything, and it's real cool. It's a cool idea, and I'm glad they eventually got to do the sequel that took off. But yeah, I am chipping away at that on the side. And then playing a lot of Warframe still.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. Did
You
your
still playing a bunch of
third-person
Heroes of the
shooter?
Storm?
Oh, no.
Still haven't. No, not. I've played 1 or 2 games in the last week or so, mostly just to say, yes, I haven't been completely consumed by Warframe, but it's been a lot of Warframe. So, yeah. Sorry, you were asking, Lucas?
Oh, I was just going to say, did your third-person shooter come out after Resident Evil 4, but before Uncharted? You know exactly what it's going to play like.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I watched that video, Brian, the prepare for Alan Wake 2 one.
Yeah.
I was surprised at how easy it was to follow along.
Yeah.
So I think I can jump into Alan Wake 2 if I want to.
Hell yeah. It won't take you a week to finish if you're trying to finish it. But, you know.
But I also want to play Granblue.
We should definitely play Granblue. We should definitely, in fact, after we stop recording this show, we should probably play Granblue.
Unfortunately, I'm still downloading the not free version, so it'll take me a little bit. Probably a bit too late today, but I will get back to you. Because, God damn it, I want to play more Granblue.
It's so good.
It's a good sign. It's a good sign.
Yeah.
Granblue is pretty cool in general. I know you guys were kind of saying you just got into it for this, but like, it is possible to play the original game in English. Kind of a pain in the butt. But like, aside from being like
the mobile gacha game, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so you can play it. There's a browser version.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's like got like a decent localization considering it wasn't like officially released, and like it's got really good music because it's like Uematsu, and the art's really good, and like, so like if you know it's an older gacha RPG, but like if you check it out, it's pretty apparent like why it became the big thing it did.
And the story does get better as it goes along, and if you can get past the gacha shit and you know the actual main story thing, it doesn't need like endlessly, you know, isn't like stamina gated or any of the usual bullshit for mobile. So you can approach it and it is decent. I did at least make an attempt at it and can say, yeah, as far as mobile gacha games go, it is one that doesn't completely suck.
Yeah.
That's
bodes well for Relink if that's
for sure.
If it's just doing the same story.
Yeah, the art, setting, story, etc. is definitely a step above the usual gacha trash. So kudos to them for that.
Nice.
And then they took the gacha money and made good games with it. Go figure.
I mean, when you're going to make a fighting game, go to Arxis. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's correct.
They're going to make you a good one.
They're going to make you a good 2D fighting game with anime aesthetics. That is what they do.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Best in the business.
And we love them for it.
Yep. All right. Was there anything else, or shall we wrap?
I think that's about it for me. Yeah. So I'm good to wrap if you guys are.
Nice.
Yeah.
Before I start digging out my DS collection and start going, hold on, not.
Oh
nice. God. we can do some revisits if we wanted to do that. I think that's kind of a fun.
I can always talk about old shit like that. Like
nice.
It doesn't have to be current for me. I've got a long history with this stuff. Old games are still good usually. So
nice.
Gonna talk about Mario Hoops next time.
Hell yeah.
Nice. Or what was it? What was that one that somebody was talking about?
Okay, Mario Tennis fucking rules. Like, especially the Game Boy Color. Get that for your pocket. Get the Game Boy Color version of Mario Tennis. Actually an RPG. Awesome.
What was the one
made by the Golden Sun guy?
Where Princess Peach was dunking on people? Is that NBA Street 3 or something like that?
Oh yeah, you can get Luigi and Mario.
Somebody was like, somebody showed like a clip of a game, and it was like Princess Peach like crossing somebody up, and then like going up to dunk, and it was like, just the hell is this? Yeah,
it's art. That's what it is.
It's crazy. It's crazy. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us for this episode of The Platform. If you got thoughts, feedback, topic ideas, or you just want to chat to us, we love talking to you guys. You can hit me up on Twitter at Ribnax, RIBNAX. And you can find me on Blue Sky and Backlogged at Brian Barnett. That is Brian with an I and Barnett with 2 T's. And you can find the visual versions of the show at twitch.tv/ribnax or youtube.com/@ribnax for the Twitch stream, the live stream, and the VOD versions of the show. Yeah. And if you want to see the stuff that I'm working on, I've got an interview coming up, but I can't really talk about it yet. But it has to do with some retro games that have to do with some dinosaurs. So,
that could mean so many different things.
That could mean a lot of things.
Yeah. Kris, where can everybody find you?
None of them Dino Crisis. Hi, I'm Kris Cornelise, aka Delphi. You can find me on most games, platforms, etc. as Delphia. My website is versusthebacklog.com, vsthebacklog.com, one word. It is, once again, picking up dust. I will have more to write there for after the Game of the Year season. As it is, I am grinding to be here for that, prepared. So, how about you, Lucas?
Yeah, Lucas White. You can find me on the internet at Hokuto no Lucas. Catch most of my writing on Shack News, including what I've been alluding to for January 18th. So there's a review coming up. A little bit of Nintendo Wire. And then I have been banging on the doors of a couple other places, so hopefully that will come to fruition soon.
Nice.
Yeah.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Here's hoping.
Oh, if you like the show, please leave us a review or tell somebody about it. We don't advertise, and so word of mouth is the only way we have to grow. From everybody here at the Platformers, we hope you have a wonderful week and stay safe out there, because until next time, we are out.
Peace.
Thank you.